Really good stuff. Excited to see what Phoenix brings. But before we go in and talk about some of those drivers for Phoenix, Zach, let's get the trivia question here. What do you got for me this weekend?
Okay, so I usually do 2 questions for you, and I try to make it a little easier since it's double the questions, right? But one of them's historical, one of them is definitely more recent. So we're going to start with the historical one first. Phoenix ran their first Cup race in 1988. Who was the winner of that race?
You're testing my knowledge here.
Yes.
1988.
And I have a clue if you need it.
I feel. Was it Kowicki?
You got it. You got it.
It was Alan Kowicki. Was that he did his rookie year? No,
I believe that was his rookie year. Maybe his second year. I forget if he was one of those guys who it took him a while to win, so it may have not been his first year.
Something about that 7 car. All right.
Yes, and it gave birth to the Polish victory lap. That's
right. Yes. Of course, dude. Yeah, that's right. Cool. All right.
Yeah. Nice. Number 1. All right. And then number 2, Ross Chastain is going for back-to-back Phoenix wins after winning last fall. Who has the record for the most consecutive Phoenix wins, and how many was it?
Oh, that's a great one. I don't want to fumble the bag. I kind of just want to go chalk here and take what I think is probably the obvious answer by a driver of the name of Kevin Harvick, because he's got 9 of them. How many consecutive wins?
Yeah.
I want to say it's not 2. That would be too easy. I want to say he did it 3 times. I don't know when, but I want to say he did it 3 times. 4 would be really tough. So I'm going to say he did it 3 times, but I couldn't tell you when.
It was 4 times. He did it
from
20 times. He did it from 2013 to 2015. And I remember he won the 4 straight, and then Dale Jr. won the rain shortened race. And then Harvick was second in that race, and then he won the following one.
Yeah.
You take out the rain, it could have been 6 straight wins there. He was on such an insane
crazy run. Man. That's crazy. Wild. Like Harvick's numbers at Phoenix, like to dominate as much he did is really like next level. Like I don't know if we'll see a driver dominate as much as he did at a particular track, but really impressive stuff. Wow, 4 times in a row.
Yeah, I mean, it saved seasons.
He could have almost did it 6 times. It's crazy, man.
Yeah, it was first, second, first.
Wow.
Unbelievable. And Phoenix, I mean, that saved seasons for him. Like 2012 was a terrible year, and he came out and he won, the last race of that year. 2014, he was in a bit of a hole, and that's what got him into Homestead to win his championship. That was a special place for him. Very historic what he achieved there. But he's not in the race this week, so it kind of opens up the opportunity for anybody else.
Yeah, I'm really excited to hear him call this weekend just because he was so successsul there. And I'm really excited to hear what he has to say, like from a broadcaster standpoint, just the information and all that stuff. Because there's nobody better. So he obviously has it figured out better than anybody. And I think that's just going to I think it's going to be really interesting to hear him talk about the race at Phoenix this weekend. See what he has to say on the outside looking in for once.
Yeah, and going back to Phoenix after his last race there, and which he nearly won. Like he ran tremendously well all the way into the end. So I can't wait to hear him talk about that place. Yeah,
should be fun. Short track of the year, Phoenix. I'm hoping, man, that the short track product this year is just a little better than it has been. We'll get the first test of the spoiler, I believe, this weekend. So I think we'll kind of see, hopefully, some better racing. Just honestly, just some better racing, some more competition. Phoenix is certainly an interesting character of a short track where you just have so many more lanes to pass, and they obviously get thinned out in dog leg. So it makes it a little bit more exciting, and obviously a big race for these teams, considering this is where the championship is being held in November. So you're gonna see a lot of teams, really coming seriously this year at this race to see what they can do and kind of put in in the bank to prepare for Phoenix. So should be interesting. But let's talk about it. William Byron, defending race winner. Ross Chastain, the most recent winner. Just talk about some drivers here that we're kind of looking at, maybe not necessarily at the top in particular. I want to talk about Michael McDowell for a minute, because we did say that front row did kind of come back down to earth. Like they definitely did. But I want to see if they could rebound here and show a little more in the desert that we saw in the first 2 races. And McDowell last year, like, put together some career bests on short tracks. He had a 12.6 average finish. He was pretty solid in these races at Phoenix last year. So just understanding, where they were last year with the resources that they have, what they could do now with the resources that they do have, and just the speed that McDowell has brought to kind of start the year. I'm not going to overlook him.
Yeah, and I think you mentioned it. Like, Phoenix is always a tricky pick. More than a lot of tracks. This is a place that really sees a lot of guys nail it. At least for 2 or 3 years. And you look at the numbers, and a lot of guys are at the top, and a lot of guys. I think 6 drivers have an average finish better than 10th. In the last 3 years there. So that's really close. One of them, Harvick, he's not in it, but with the new, short track package, it could fall into different drivers' sensibilities. And my eye goes right to Ryan Blaney, who's right at the top of the sheet. Shockingly, no win. He's never won at Phoenix. Outside of winning a championship, he's never won an actual race. 3 straight seconds dating back to 2022. And ever since the next gen car came in, he's just been nearly unstoppable there. There's always been that one guy to get him at the end one way or another, but his worst finish in the next gen area at Phoenix is 4th, and that was actually his best race there with 143 laps led from pole. So you got to be looking at him. He and Bubba are the only drivers with multiple top 5s this year. So you factor in the track versus the speed that he's coming off of, particularly these last 2 weeks. And he's in a really good spot right now. Penske overall, I think Logano, he has a great average finish here, 8.5 since 2021. He's been front row. Joey, he's been qualifying tremendously well, with multiple ways that he's gone about that. But on the race side, he's always been kind of falling off and hasn't been coming home where he probably should be. And we mentioned, how he was last year coming off the title from the year before. And, he's kind of right there with RFK with, he's not there at the end like you would anticipate him being. And he's so difficult to nail down and predict because he is able to dominate races and win and do anything any week, but he's also able to run 12th, and just not be a factor at all. So it's hard to kind of tie him down. Blaney, to me, has been the consistent leader of Penske for over a year now, and perhaps that'll continue, or Logano can kind of start to show that type of speed that we're used to seeing from him. And you mentioned Chastain. He's the defending track winner. He's in a really good spot as well. I love where his head is. I think he's really going to take the pit road penalties seriously. That was really the leading topic on Sunday night after the race, was how embarrassed he was that this has happened numerous times already. A lot of guys have had a ton of issues, and I just think a lot of these teams have to put more time into that pit road game. Like, you can't be having those problems because it's so hard to come back. And
for the driver that I think is going to be parking it in victory lane this weekend, I would take Ryan Blaney, but I think a driver that can kind of just kind of been hanging, but I think can just kind of come out and do it. Maybe Martin Truex Jr. Maybe he's got something to show. Can finally put one in the win column. But I'm most confident in Ryan Blaney and Ross Chastain this weekend. Certainly much like yourself. Those are the 2 drivers that have shown all of the dominance at Phoenix, and I think it's a good spot for both of them. We can kind of get a little bit of a flashback to the fall, and see if Blaney can come out on top here. But I certainly like those guys, and I would be interested in the betting market. For Chastain's price at 11-1, for Tyler Reddick at 18, even Logano, I think at 14 is certainly interesting, because he can come out and he can get it done as well. So first short track of the year should be a fun one, but certainly a lot of guys that we're going to be keeping our eye on, and see who can see who can get one in the win column this year, become the 4-winner of the year, or see if we get a repeat potentially with Kyle Larson or somebody else.
I hope we get a repeat battle with Chastain and Blaney from last fall, because that was one of the best battles of the year. We know how spicy Blaney can be over the radio, and he was pretty hot over Chastain last week. So you bring those two right back to the same place, a lot less on the line this time, but they're both going to be really quick. You can't ignore Blaney's numbers, so I got to go with you and go with Ryan as well. Just everything is in line for a fantastic day. He's, as I said, the win hasn't been there, but there's no telling when that win's going to come, and it can easily be on Sunday. So Gibbs, Penske, and Hendrick, those three organizations are going to be all over each other. It's going to be really close, but I would give it to Penske, at least at the moment, leading into the weekend.
Yeah, hopefully Ford can show up and they could show some more speed here. But even with that, these guys, I think all three of those teams, like you said, I mean, they're the three premier teams in the series, and these are tracks where wins show up, and they always show up. So we'll definitely be looking at those guys. And